Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Thank you to the residents of Dartmoor for joining us this evening. Councillors, I'm not going to wear my blazer tonight because it's extremely hot in this hall. And gentlemen, if you wish to take your jackets off and your ties, please feel free to do so because it's very hot in here tonight.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
That's a pleasure. I'll give you a moment to take them off.
Yeah, there's always one.
Saint Stephen's. Are all councillors ready? On behalf of the Glenelg Shire Council, I respectfully acknowledge the traditional lands of the Gunditjmara people and their respective cultural heritages. I acknowledge the elders past and present here at today's gathering and through them to all Aboriginal people. For those present in the gallery today, by attending the public meeting of Council, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. Council meetings may be live streamed and the Chief Executive Officer will enable a copy of the recordings to the public. Receipt of apologies. There are none. Councillors, the confirmation of the minutes of the 24th of February. Is there somebody to move that, please? Councillor Jarrett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to move that Council receives the record of the councillor briefing held on the 24th... Minutes, sorry. For the briefing held... Am I on the wrong page?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. That council...
Page 3, Councillor Jarrett.
Sorry, I was on the wrong page. That the minutes for the council meeting held on the 24th of February as circulated be confirmed.
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Any comments, Councillor Jarrett? No? Those in favour? Carried. If members want to come forward, please do so if you wish. Just move your chairs if you want to come forward a little bit. Shannon, how far? To there?
Yep.
That's okay? Anybody that wishes to come forward, if you could do it now, please.
Try and get our big voices on.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just check with Shannon. Shannon, how's that working for you and Ruby? Good? Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Mr. Moyne. Councillors, as you will be aware, the Honourable Dr. Laura Amelia Bell passed away recently, and I thought it would be reflective of us it would be good to us for tonight to reflect on her rich history that she had within our shire. As we know, Auntie Laura was a strong candidate for better health outcomes for the Indigenous and also better educational outcomes. But she didn't just do that in a way that was from the sidelines. She actually sat on the Hayward Rural Health Board for many, many years, not quite 20 years. She also sat on the school boards in Hayward, ensuring that she did her bit to ensure that the policy changes and the direction of those healthcare facilities and educational facilities gave strength to the education and health needs of the community. Auntie Laura was farewelled. Some of my fellow councillors joined me at her memorial service in Hayward last week, which was attended by hundreds and hundreds of people. And I know that, she has a rich history in many, many areas and was awarded an honorary doctorate with the Deakin University only a number of years ago. She was on the Victorian Women's Honour Roll, something that she held very proudly. So we recognise her contribution to the Glenelg community and on behalf of her community, and how she's enriched our lives through her work. Councillors, being in Dartmoor tonight, I just wanted to take the opportunity to say it's an absolute pleasure to acknowledge the work that's being undertaken to strengthen the early years and the community connections here in Dartmoor. The recently established Parents Advisory Group is already playing a really important role in supporting the community with their fundraising initiatives to improve the outdoor environment. One of their key priorities is the addition of a playground, particularly as it's currently the only one in kinder within the council. So, that's right. So, this is a kinder that, the parents are taking charge and doing their own fundraising, working in with council to make sure that they enhance the outdoor space and provide greater opportunities for children's physical development and their collaborative play. So it's wonderful to see the emerging intergenerational partnerships with the Senior Citizens Group, the Dartmoor Bush Nursing Centre, beginning with the Easter craft visits. These shared experiences are helping foster the children's sense of belonging and their connection within this community. The support of the wider community continues to make a meaningful difference here in Dartmoor. Donations from the Dartmoor Community Op Shop are helping to update resources as they better reflect the needs and interests of our local children and their families. In addition, the Dartmoor Lions Club have generously funded small couches for the children, along with a larger couch for the educators and the family members. This includes breastfeeding mothers. The contribution has helped create a more welcoming and comfortable environment for all that attend the facility. These initiatives are a strong reflection of what can be achieved when families, community groups and local organisations working together to support our next generation of children through their learning. So thank you very much to all of those groups for coming together, and I'm sure Wendy would agree with me, it's the true Dartmoor way that as a community you always work together. So thank you for that. Councillors, we'll move on to our agenda items. 5.2 is a record of the councillor briefings. There is a recommendation there on page 4. Councillor Noski.
Councillor Stevens, thanks, Madam Mayor. Happy to move the recommendation that Council receives the record of the Council briefing held on 24 February, 3 March, 10 March and 17 March 2026.
Thanks, Councillor Noski. Councillor Angelino.
I'd like to second that.
Thank you. Councillor Noski, anything you need to? Thank you. It's quite straightforward. The recommendation or the motion has been moved by Councillor Noski, second by Councillor Angelino. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, item number 6 is declarations of conflicts of interest. Do we have anything on tonight's paper? There is Neil. If anything comes up, please, councillors, please let me know. We'll move on to councillors' activity reports for the month of February. Councillor Jowell, we'll start with you as Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It was a very busy month, let's put it that way, for all of us. The ones I'd like to pull out and speak to tonight are the community budget information sessions that were held right across the Shire, including Hayward, here in Dartmoor, Nelson and Portland that I attended. It was great to meet with members of the community and hear what they would like in the upcoming budget. Also attended the opening of Chiropractic Life in Portland. It was a wonderful opportunity to officially open a new business in Portland that will focus on the health and well-being of our residents. I see this as a great endorsement of our local economy that a new business is willing to make an investment in our growing economy here in the Glenelg Shire. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jarrett. Councillor McDonald, would you like to...
Thanks, Madam Mayor.
reflect
I'll
on-
share one that I know none of the other councillors actually were available for. I saw at the SES had a demonstration open day in Portland, and it was a thrilling demonstration of the deconstruction of a car post-collision with someone supposedly trapped in the car. It was thrilling, and they just chopped that car apart. So it was just great to see those volunteers. Many long-serving tenure volunteers. One who was recognised, and I know the Mayor went to a celebration for him. Just demonstrating that extraordinary commitment of volunteers in our community, and the leadership that fosters that interest in younger members. And there were some younger members there on the day who got to demonstrate their skills with the fantastic equipment. And it was also interesting this week to look at the SES's initiative in Women for Rescue, training women up in those similar skills as well. So, yeah, it's great to see. Thank you.
Thank you. And then you were away for the rest of the month?
I was travelling.
You were travelling around? Well done. Good to see you back safe and sound. Councillor Noski.
Nothing to add.
Thank you. Councillor Pepper, have you got anything you wish to bring up for this
Yes,
month?
thank you, Madam Mayor. There's just one item I'd like to touch on. I had the privilege of having the Glenelg CEO, Helen Havercraft, come out for a farm tour at home, and it was very interesting. She being Helen, I really enjoyed herself. I had some nice quiet sheep in the yard, and she managed to have a nice little pat. Unfortunately, it wasn't shearing or dagging time, so I couldn't get Helen on the handpiece.
Oh,
But we might save that for another time.
I think you
But look, it was educational for Helen too. She got to see how dry it was, got to see how much minimal water we've got in dams in the rural area, and it was unique for us both in the regard that at council things, I'm asking the questions and she's the head, Helen's the head guru that gives us the answers.
Yeah.
Where it was sort of complete role reversal here. Like Helen was asking the questions and I was the head guru giving the answers on them. So it was good. It was Helen enjoyed the views out of the hills of Tahara, and it was a very good morning for us both. And I'm pretty sure that I enjoyed it, and I'm pretty sure that Helen did as well.
Do you think you'll be able to teach her anything?
I feel so. Yes. I think that she's eager to learn.
She's eager to learn. Well, we're pleased that the CEO is experiencing farm life in Glenelg. Well done. Thank you, Councillor Pepper. Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll start off with the Rail Freight Alliance AGM down in Melbourne. Went down there and also had a number of meetings online. The Rail Freight Alliance has been advocating for a long period of time for funding upgrades to the rail, and I'm pleased to probably communicate with everyone that work on the Marina to Portland line is commencing shortly. They're going to upgrade, do all the vegetation work and fix up the corridors either side, and then re-sleeper the whole line. And you might ask why that's important. It's important to get a lot of that freight off our roads, so that the roads aren't carrying all those tonnes and they don't have all those potholes in them, Madam Mayor. Next
Do you
one is
remember how many trucks will take off the road? per
I
annum?
don't off the top of my head. You've got me.
How many thousand?
We'll take it. We're
7?
hoping about 7,000 a year.
Yeah, so it's a significant project. Yeah.
It is. Went out to the Turandara Recreational Reserve AGM. Fantastic community out there. A lot of ownership. They look after their own reserve. Chaired the AGM for that group of people, and they've done a lot of work in the past and they've still got big plans for the future. So they do a fantastic job. And I got the opportunity in Portland, Madam Mayor, to go to the Classics by the Bay. The best day I reckon we've had all year in Portland. The weather was fantastic, there was no wind, there was 400 odd cars, there was thousands of people there. Everyone had a great day. I reckon it's the best classic car show in Australia, so if you haven't been, next year in February, head on down to Portland and have a look at the Classics by the Bay. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
So the best classic car show in Australia?
Easily. Madam Mayor.
Easily.
Probably should mention Angry.
Yep.
His name's Craig, but everyone knows him as Angry. Does an absolute fantastic job. They charge minimal entry fees and they make big donations back to the community.
They certainly do. Thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor Angelino.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. We had some community budget sessions and one was at the Hayward Bakery. It was a great morning. There was quite a lot of locals who actually met some of the actual council staff as well, which was a good thing for both the council staff and also the actual locals to actually have a one-on-one with the people and discuss their issues and their concerns. The other one was the Wood Wine and Roses. Even though the weather was a little bit touch and go, the parade went off really well, and the night was a great night by all, and hopefully we'll continue with that event in the future and make it a great event for years to come. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Angelino. Councillors, a list of some of the functions that I attended there on page 6. I will just highlight the 50-year celebration of the Portland SES, where I was able to present a founding member, Mr. Gary Hine, who I actually saw today by chance when I was in Portland, a certificate of appreciation and for his voluntary contribution to the community over the last 50 years, which is just absolutely outstanding. And it was a fantastic night and it was well done by all involved. Councillors, I also attended the festival at Hayward for the Wood Wine and Roses and thanked the volunteers there for the work that they do. There's a number of things, but I just want to thank all of my fellow councillors for the work that they did and the community events that they attended throughout February, and I sincerely thank you for your commitment to the community. Councillors, there is a recommendation here on page 10. If somebody, Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation that Council notes the councillor activity reports for the 1st of February 26 to the 28th of February 26.
Councillor McDonald. A second. Councillor Carr, did you want to make any comment?
No further comment.
No further comment. Councillor McDonald. The motion has been put by Councillor Carr and seconded by Councillor McDonald. Those in favour? That is carried. There are no notices of motion, councillors. We'll move on to management reports. The first one, 9.1, is S5 Council to CEO Instrument of Delegation. Mr Moyne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, an updated S5 Instrument of Delegation from Council to the Chief Executive Officer is presented for consideration tonight. The S5 instrument has been revised to reflect changes made to the updated procurement policy, which reduced the CEO's financial delegation limit from $500,000 including GST to $400,000 excluding GST. No other changes have been made following the review. The recommendation is provided before Council.
Thank you, Mr Moyne. Councillors, are there any questions? Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I see just a bit of background on the 400,000, Madam Mayor. What are other councils around us? What's the average approval level for CEOs in councils similar to ours, Madam Mayor?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Sure, certainly.
Councillor Carr, when this matter came to us as the procurement policy, at the time it was really reflective that lots of our neighbouring councils, their level was around that 400 mark. Yeah, so it's in step with our neighbouring councils. Are there any other clarification points, councillors? If not, there is a recommendation there on page 14. Councillor Carr.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to move the recommendation recommendation that council approves the instrument of delegation from council to the Chief Executive Officer, S5, which will come into force immediately upon this resolution being made and is signed by the Mayor and CEO, and notes that the previous instrument is therefore revoked.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Seconder, Councillor Angelino. Councillor Carr, anything further?
Look, Madam Mayor, I'm just happy that we're bringing ourselves in line with all the other councils, and I think it's a positive step forward, and will give us councillors some more oversight of the financial expenditure of this council.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor Angelino, anything else?
No, thanks, Madam Mayor. That's, I agree wholeheartedly with the recommendation, and that it will give us, the council, some buy-in, and we will be watching what happens. So it's all good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Angelino. Councillors, the motion has been put by Councillor Carr and seconded by Councillor Angelino. Those in favour? That is carried. Thank you. 9.2 is the lease agreement between the Glenelg Shire Council and 3RPC Incorporated. Mr Moyne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you again, this report relates to a proposed lease between Council and 3RPC Incorporated for the use of the Ruth Martin building at 34 Julia Street, Portland. 3RPC have had a formal lease with Council since August 2016, from which they operate their community radio station. The previous lease expired in July 2025, and the group is currently in an overholding arrangement whilst lease negotiations and council consideration has taken place. This has occurred following Council's adoption of a new leasing and licensing policy in November 2025. The officer recommendation originally proposed 2 leases for approval, the first being a ground floor lease to 3RPC as a community group at a peppercorn rental amount of $1 per annum, and the second being a commercial lease for the first floor apartment within the building with a reduced and gradual rental increase, which was proposed to be below the market valuation. Both leases were proposed for a period of 4 years with a single 5-year extension option. Through further direct discussions as recently as yesterday, 3RPC have clearly expressed their position now that they wish to proceed with the ground floor lease and do not wish to pursue a lease for the first floor apartment, and have requested that Council retain responsibility for this part of the building. This is considered a reasonable request from an officer perspective and does not prejudice the future lease of the ground floor to enable the community radio operations to continue. Officers will need to initiate a further review process regarding the building and future options. And noting the revised position of 3RPC regarding the lease, the recommendation is again provided before Council.
Thank you, Mr Moyne. Councillors, are there any questions or anybody seeking any clarification on the lease? Councillors, an alternative motion has been circulated. Councillor McDonald.
I'm happy to move the alternate motion.
Thank you.
That Council 1 approves a new 4-year lease with 1 × 5-year extension option with 3RPC Incorporated to commence the 1st of April 2026 for the ground floor of the property known as Ruth Martin Memorial Building, 34 Julia Street, Portland. 2, sets a peppercorn rental amount of $1, including GST per annum for the lease proposed in Part 1 of this resolution. And 3, authorises the Director of Corporate Services to finalise and sign all documents relating to the proposed lease.
Thank you. Councillor John.
I'd like to second that.
Thank you, Councillor John. Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to say that I'm thrilled that 3RPC are able to retain use of this dedicated facility for their community radio program, which the community just loves, and it's now consistent with other not-for-profit organisations in terms of that dedicated facility, and pleased to support their preference for just this section of the building moving forward.
Thank you, councillors. Does anybody wish to speak against it? If not, I'll move to the seconder. Councillor John.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for a bit of context, this has been a long road. This is the second time that this particular organisation has come to us for a lease. The first time it wasn't as well received by our councillor group. I don't think we'd be speaking out of turn to say that, but I'm quite happy with the way that it's we've landed here. The $1 peppercorn rent for this building, for this community group, is a great outcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, there's no further comment. I'll put the motion, which was moved by Councillor McDonald and seconded by Councillor Jowett. Those in favour? That is carried. Thank you. Thank you for your work in that, Mr. Moyne. Thank you very much. 9.3, the lease agreement between the Glenelg Shire Council and the Reardon Group. Mr. Moyne.
Thank you, Mayor. This report seeks council approval to lease a parcel of land at the end of Fitzgerald Place in Portland to the Reardon Group, who have adjoining premises and currently utilise the land. The site is vacant, has an area of approximately 565 square metres and is currently used as part of the Reardon site. A consultation process has been undertaken and 3 responses were received, which have been reviewed and do not suggest that council shouldn't proceed with the proposed lease. The proposed lease would formalise the use of the land and provide a return income to council. The recommendation is provided before you.
Thank you, Mr. Moyne. Councillors, any questions in relation to this matter? If not, there is a recommendation on page 20. Councillor Noski.
Madam Mayor, happy to move the recommendation as it's written.
In its entirety?
In its entirety.
In its entirety. Thank you. Thank you for not reading it all out. It's been moved. Councillor Angelino. You're seconding. Councillor Noski.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I thought it fitting that I move the motion since it cleans up something that my family had an involvement in setting the fence lines that require this lease to be entered into now. I think this is purely just a routine piece of cleaning up history and making sure that those people that use land are responsible for its maintenance.
That's right. Thank you. Councillor Angelino?
No, thanks, Madam Mayor. No, I agree with Councillor Noski that this it makes it all up tidy and we get people that release the situation. It's a good win for the Shire. So, thanks, Madam Mayor.
That's right. Any other councillor wish to make any comment? If not, the motion has been put in its entirety by Councillor Noski and seconded by Councillor Angelino. Those in favour? It is carried. Councillors, we'll move on to 9.4, which is a licence agreement between the Glenelg Shire Council and the Casterton Senior Citizens Centre Incorporated. Mr. Moyne.
Thank you, Mayor. We're on a roll.
We are on a roll.
This report seeks council approval again to enter into a new licence agreement with the Casterton Senior Citizens Centre Incorporated for the Casterton Senior Citizens Building at 14 to 24 Clark Street, Casterton. The building has been licensed to the group since July 2008, with the most recent licence in place from November 2023 until October 2025. The licensee is currently in overholding arrangements whilst the negotiations have been progressed. A licence allows a group to use a building, but unlike a lease, it does not provide exclusive possession of the building, and council retains control and access to the facility. Review of the licence, use of the building and discussions with the Senior Citizens Group has provided an opportunity to maximise the use of the building and for council to discuss changes to the provision of cleaning services, with the responsibility being accepted by the licensee. The Casterton Senior Citizens Group provide important community support and services to members, with the proposed licence providing ongoing use and access to the building until June 2028. The recommendation is provided before council.
Thank you, Mr. Moyne. Councillors, any questions in relation to this matter? Councillor Jowett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one question about the length of the proposed licence agreement of 2 years and 8 months. It just seems an unusual amount of time. So I just wanted to get some knowledge around the reasoning for that unusual.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for the question, Councillor Jowett. It does seem an odd date, but the aim of that was to ensure that the end date of the licence would align with the end of the financial year to make it a smoother process moving forward. So that's quite standard practice for these types of licences.
Thank you. Councillor Pepper, you're involved in this particular group in They Nearly Folded, and with your input, they now have 42 members or something, with an average age of about 72 or something, which has dropped from about 95. You did a wonderful
I'm
job.
happy to move the recommendation, Madam Mayor,
Thank you, Councillor Pepper.
in its entirety on page 23.
Thank you, Councillor Pepper. Councillor
I'll
McDonald.
second that, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Pepper.
Yes, this has been, these ladies have been very patient, waiting for this to happen. They've been keen, they've been eager, they've been working behind the scenes. They've got a lot of ideas and they've got a lot of activities ready to go. And so it's wonderful to see that finally they're able to move in and they're able to move forward, and I'm happy for them, because they are really proactive at the minute and getting going. So I'm really happy that it's got to this stage now for those ladies at Caston, and for them to really get their teeth into them. So that's why I'm happy to move the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do they have any male members, Councillor Pepper?
Not at the minute.
No, not men at all. No. And I believe councillors, they've gone from using the building like once, maybe twice a week, and I think they're up to 3 times and even 4 times a week now. So they've really...
And growing, yes.
And growing again. Yes, it's really rejuvenated. So well done. Councillor O'Donnell, anything?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I was just to say it's great to know that the facility is going to be increasing its use, and that council's not going to be responsible for the cleaning. And it's these types of arrangements with council that are really an optimum outcome all round for both parties. So, great result.
Yep,
Thank you.
agree. Councillors, if there's nothing else, the motion is being put in its entirety by Councillor Pepper and second by Councillor McDonald. Those in favour? That is carried. Councillor, we'll move on to 9.5, which is the lease agreement between the Glenelg Shire Council and the Portland Senior Citizens Centre Incorporated. Mr Moyne, you're on a roll.
Just to clarify, sorry, Mayor, it's a licence again for this facility, but through you, this report seeks council approval to enter into a new licence with the Portland Senior Citizens Centre Incorporated for the building known as the Fourth Rock Community Centre at Hood Street in Portland. The building's been, well, similarly to the Casterton Senior Citizens Group, the building's been licensed since July 2008, with the most recent licence in place from November 2023 until October 2025. Again, the group are in overholding arrangements whilst negotiations have been progressed. Review of the licence, use of the building and discussions with the Senior Citizens Group has been undertaken. As this is a facility with existing and potential multiple users, utilities and outgoings are covered by council, including cleaning of the amenities and shared spaces within the building. Through negotiations, the Portland Senior Citizens Group have accepted responsibility for the setup and cleaning of the licensed area, which will provide cost saving to council, as this is currently undertaken by council staff. The Portland Senior Citizens Group, again, provide important community support and services to its members and community, with the proposed licence providing ongoing use and access to the building and the spaces that they utilise. The recommendations provided before council.
Thank you, Mr Moyne. Are there any questions, councillors? Any clarification needed? Straightforward. Councillor Noski.
Motion in its entirety.
Thank you, Councillor Noski.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Second, Councillor McDonald. Councillor Noski.
I don't think there's anything to add.
No.
Councillor Stephen Barron's given us a clear indication of why we're doing it. I think it's a good outcome for the Senior Citizens Group in Portland.
Yeah. Perhaps the only comment I will make, councillors, is for our audience this evening, you'll see that we've got a peppercoin rent of $1 for these council buildings, where you might go, why is that? These are community groups that use our facilities. You'll see that there was another lease there that was at a commercial rate, because it was a company that leases that vacant land. That's small. It's a very small parcel of land. But our community groups, within our leasing licensing policies, we can do a peppercorn lease for these properties. So that's why it's $1. Councillors, the motion on page 26 has been moved by Councillor Noski and seconded by Councillor McDonald. Those in favour? That is carried. Councillors, we'll move on to 9.6, which is this planning scheme amendment C115 Glenelg. Mr Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Planning Scheme Amendment C115GELG. The 2017 Glenelg Hopkins Regional Floodplain Management Strategy identified both Dartmoor and Nelson as requiring further flood information. This flood study has since been conducted so that future planning decisions are soundly based with measures to minimise flood risk to the community. On the 26th of August 2025, Council resolved to seek authorisation from the Minister for Planning to prepare and exhibit the amendment. Public exhibition occurred between the 11th of December 2025 and the 6th of February 2025, which saw Council receive 5 objections to the amendment. In consultation with the Glenelg Hopkins Catchment Authority, the entire flood study has been peer reviewed by technical experts to ensure accuracy of data. The issues raised within these submissions were reviewed and remain unable to be resolved. Section 23 of the Planning and Environment Act outlines several options available to Council following the consideration of these submissions. 1. Change the amendment in the manner requested. 2. Refer the submission to a panel appointed by the Minister, and 3. Abandon the amendment or part of the amendment. The report tonight presented to Council outlines appropriate considerations for each of these options and includes a recommendation for Council's consideration.
Thank you, Mr Jackson. Councillors, are there any questions in relation to this item on tonight's paper? Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I think one question I'd like the answer to is why can't this review be done in-house? Like, we've got planning staff and we've got 5 submitters. Why can't this be done?
Why does it have to go to an independent panel?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Yep. Thank you,
Mr.
Madam Mayor.
Jackson,
Through
you
you.
have
Thanks for the question,
Yep.
Councillor Carr. As outlined, the Planning and Environment Act indicates that where the submissions can't be resolved at Council, that those 3 options are available, and one of them is to put all of the submissions, all of the information to a planning panel, an independent planning panel appointed by the Minister, and that actually provides those submitters an opportunity to put their case forward as well. It's an extra independent step that's outside of Council.
Yep. Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I've read the submissions from a number of the applicants. Have we been able to clarify the height issue between chart datum and Australian height as per the submitters? It seems to be the biggest issue with it.
Okay. Mr Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Carr. Are you referring to previous actual flood data?
The existing height of the land, the Australian height datum, versus the chart datum for the sea level proposed theoretical sea level rise.
Yeah, all I can respond to is that as I said, the entire flood study, the hydrological data, that this is new wording to me too, that was utilised by technical experts, has been reviewed at peer level for data accuracy. So all I can say to you is that review took place, and both the Glenelg Hopkins Catchment Authority and the Department of Transport and Planning were happy that was accurate. The planning panel provides opportunity to test that accuracy.
That's right. Yeah. Are you happy with that? Well, the planning panel will pursue that further and tease out with their expertise, that submission.
I'll make my comment later. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Pepper.
Madam Mayor, just a question to you with your vast knowledge and experience. This independent panel is, in your opinion, the way to go for the best result for the situation, and also for the opportunity for these people with their concerns. They'll get a proper hearing, it'll get looked at, and it'll be the best way forward. I'm asking,
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Pepper. Look, in my personal opinion, it is under the legislation to ask the Minister to establish, obviously the Minister's got to agree to that, to establish an independent panel. I believe that it gives the submitters, particularly, the submitters are coming from the Nelson community, it gives them an opportunity to go to the panel and be heard.
Yep.
And for the panel members to then determine the key determinables within their submission. So it gives them a second chance to have a submission. They've made a submission, to the flood study. Now they get to be heard. So, and it's the independence around the panel which I think is important. And then council will receive that report.
Thank you.
Councillors, if there's no further questions, there is a recommendation now on page 31 of tonight's paper. Councillor Noski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to move the recommendation as it's written in its entirety on page 31.
Thank you, Councillor Noski. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Angelino. Councillor Noski, would you like to speak to
Thanks,
that?
Madam Mayor. Yeah, I think this is an important step to take for council. There are significant concerns about the methodology of the flood study amongst the Nelson community, and as Councillor Carr's pointed out, there are also significant concerns that there is a differentiation between surveyed height of land and the aerial height of land that was fed into the modelling. So the hydrology can be perfect, but if the model says the land is a metre lower than it really is, then it's going to show it as being underwater compared to what reality might be. This recommendation gives all of those people a chance to talk at length with an independent planning panel and to air their concerns and show the reasons why, if the report is wrong, it is wrong. And if they can't do that, then we have to live with what it leads to after that. But I think this is the best step for us to take to give those people in Nelson the best opportunity to have their concerns properly reviewed.
Thank you, Councillor Noski. Does anybody wish to speak against the motion? Councillor Angelino, a seconder, would you like to speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I believe agree with Councillor Noski that this independent panel will be the panel that will actually listen to any concerns that are brought up by the people that are involved in it, and also make recommendations from that their knowledge and expertise. So that's why I second the motion.
Thank you. Does any other councillor wish to make a comment? Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I understand, Madam Mayor, that this is the path forward for the submitters. I'm just disappointed, Madam Mayor, that we're going to spend $25,000 having a panel. So hence the questions about could we have sorted this out.
No.
And I know I'm repeating myself, but applying a 1.2 metre level versus the mandated legislated 0.8, it's 150 years away. We're potentially devaluing these people's land right here, right now, as soon as it goes through, for something that may or may not occur in 150 years' time. And we're here to represent the community. They will go through their panel, Madam Mayor, and it will come back to council, and we will need to make a decision based off that report. I'm just frustrated that we're going to spend $25,000 of ratepayers' money, Madam Mayor, to go through this process. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Unfortunately, Councillor Carr, it's legislated that this is the step forward, so we don't have that luxury of that choice. And I think it needs to be fair to all the submitters that they get the opportunity to have an independent panel review the data, review everything, and give them that opportunity. Yeah. Councillor Carr.
And they will get the opportunity, Madam Mayor, but I've also noticed within the submission a lot of these submitters are spending a lot of their own money and engaging consultants and expertise themselves in order to review what's been proposed upon them. So there's costs for both parties, and it would have been good if we could have avoided that scenario altogether. Anyway, we can't, so
We can't.
we'll support that they get the opportunity to go through that process.
That's right. And it needs to have that independence around it. If there's no further comments, the motion as tabled on page 31 was moved by Councillor Noski and seconded by Councillor Angelino. Those in favour? Carried. Councillors, there are no urgent business items on tonight's agenda, and questions that have been taken on notice. And as councillors are aware, under our governance rules, questions that are submitted to council for our meeting must be submitted in writing and received by council by Monday at 12 noon. Councillors, please bear with me. These are really long-winded questions and long-winded answers, and I'll try to do the best I can. We know that planning matters become a little complicated. Let's see how we go with this. Okay, so the first question is from Mr. Ian and Mrs. Gwen Towers of Narrawong, who have asked the following questions. Number one, we purchased a property in 2008. The land use classification on our rate notice has always been residential, rural lifestyle. It was zoned RCZ2 until a draft planning amendment, C106 Glenelg, proposed a rezoning to FZ2. The planning panel recommendation to be zoned FZ2 is PCA 106 until a fit-for-purpose strategic study on the RCZ2 land could be done to account for and clusters the R2Z2 land already used for rural residential purposes. Why was the land then zoned RZ1 in the adopted C106 in September of 2022? The response to the question, and I'm sorry if, just keep following me with this, just keep following. Planning scheme zoning and rate categorisation are different. Zoning controls land use and development, while the rate categorisation is set by council for rating purposes under the Local Government Act. The property zone does not automatically determine your rate category and vice versa. Amendment C106 rezoned the land from Rural Conservation Zone Schedule to Farming Zone Schedule 1, which was gazetted into the scheme on the 20th of January 2023. The amendment was underpinned by Council's strategic work in the Rural Land Strategy and the Portland Rural Living Assessment. As there were no strategically identified conservation values for this area of land and the prevailing use is agricultural, the land was zoned Farming Zone 1. The proposed exhibition of rezoning of this land was Farming Zone 1, not Farming Zone 2. The planning panel assessing Amendment C106 did not make the recommendation for it to be rezoned to Farming Zone 2. The second question from Mr. and Mrs. Towers of Narrawong. The panel expected that once the suggested strategic planning study was completed, that our land and the properties around use where opportunities for commercial farming were properly evaluated. And our land and the properties around use where opportunities for commercial farming are gone properly. They could or might be strategically identified for rural residential purposes. Was that extra strategic planning study recommended by C106 planning panel ever done by council? If not, why not? The planning panel report for the amendment C106 was issued on the 12th of August 2022, where it recommended that council adopt amendment C106 subject to 6 formal recommendations listed in the report. None of the 6 formal recommendations expressed that further strategic work been undertaken. So this statement, however, was not formal recommendation to council for a consideration of part of its decision for the amendment of C106. It also identified the above that it was specifically reinforcing only land being zoned from the Rural Conservation Zone 2 to Farming Zone 2, which did not apply to the land at Narrawong, which was the Farming Zone 1, and was never considered for Farming Zone 2 or other rural zoning. In the context, this statement by the planning panel does not apply to this land in Narrawong. The third question from Mr and Mrs Towers. Council also issued a permit for a 5,000 hen free-range poultry farm on our immediate neighbour's property in 2022. Sure.
The poultry farm is owned by a distant relative.
A distant relative. Thank you, Councillor. Ladies and gentlemen, obviously I've, in mentioning the 5,000 hen free-range poultry farm, Councillor Carr has declared a conflict, and as he has, he needs to leave the forum and the meeting tonight. He can return when I'm finished. I'll start again, councillors. Council also issued a permit for a 5,000 hen free-range poultry farm on our immediate neighbour's property in 2022. The permit was issued without notification to us or other neighbours. We have continually endured noise and odour issues and foul runoff through our land since then. Did Council consider the amenity of the surrounding area and the steepness of the land used for the poultry farm before issuing the permit? And has Council done any monitoring of noise levels, odour and runoff from the property to ensure that it is meeting the poultry farm operational guidelines? If not, why not? Planning permit P22111 that was issued was exempt from public notice under the Glenelg planning scheme. Council considered all relevant factors relating to amenity and topography of the land as per planning scheme requirements. Council has not undertaken any monitoring given the low density nature of the operations, and there have been no formal complaints lodged about pollution from this site. Mr Dan and Mrs Margaret Mitchell of Narrawong. So Councillor Carr will have to remain out because this goes on about the 5,000 poultry farm, 5,000 hen poultry farm. Mr Dan and Mrs Margaret Mitchell of Narrawong have asked the following questions. Number one, Council issued a permit for 5,000 bird poultry farm beside us in July of 2022. The only access to that property is via a gate located 100 metres up a very steep section of a narrow dirt track that is Beavis Road. Given the bushfire management overlay of the area, did Council consider access requirements as required by the Act when they granted a permit? Our driveway is located further up Beavis Road and access is regularly blocked by large delivery trucks stuck on Beavis Road for hours until the poultry farm operator pulls them with his tractor. Planning application P22111 was issued on the 29th of July 2022 for a low-density mobile outdoor poultry farm with a maximum capacity of 5,000 laying poultry. The existing access of Beavis Road was considered suitable, noting that it was already in use for a range of agricultural vehicles, including tractors and trucks to transport animals and feed. The change from the previous grazing agricultural to a low-density mobile outdoor poultry farm was considered minor impact in terms of volume and size of the agricultural vehicles and assessed to be compliant with the Glenelg planning scheme. The second question, 2 months after granting that permit, council zoned that land and all immediate neighbouring properties which border on the large rural living enclave at Mount Clay. Given planning overlays in place, small-scale animal husbandry is the only practical farming activity possible on the area. However, Agricultural Victoria guidelines effectively ban livestock farming within 50 metres of poultry farm operations because of biosecurity issues. All 7 surrounding Farming Zone 1 properties are within 50-metre radius of the poultry farm. Did Council undertake a land suitability study before issuing the poultry farm permit and or rezoning surrounding properties into Farming Zone 1? The Amendment C106 rezoned the land from the Rural Conservation Zone Schedule 2 to Farming Zone Schedule 1, which was gazetted into the scheme on the 20th of January 2023. The amendment was underpinned by Council's strategic work in the Rural Land Use Strategy and the Portland Rural Living Assessment. And we go on to say about the planning application and the poultry farm. I think we're just repeating ourselves again here. When issuing the poultry permit, did we obtain the EPO licence and the permit to operate dead birds? The permit, it goes on to talk about organic animal waste from off-farm third-party animals, fish processing operations. If you cannot answer the permit, it's not required. The planning permit cannot legally dictate via conditions whether licences or permits are required by other legislation. Mr Brian Kennedy of Narrawong, who asked the following question. Okay. Look, councillors, I think that we will thank Mr Brian Kennedy for his question. It goes on about the application for the 5,000 bird chicken farm, and was council fully aware of the guidelines. This is around the Australian egg industry, 2008 section 4.2.1, the location of the planning considerations, avoiding locations near urban or residential areas. In essence, councillors, the short answer is the guideline document referred to the environmental guidelines for Australian egg industry in 2008 was prepared by the Australian Egg Corporation by the Federal Government Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry. It is not a statutory document within the Glenelg Shire planning scheme, and for consideration, it's not within our right. The relevant state government policy for consideration of poultry farms certainly comes under the outdoor poultry farming permits and the guidelines in clauses in our planning scheme, which is in section 53.9. Councillors, based on this and these answers, Madam CEO, can we provide these in writing to the questioners? They're quite lengthy. Some of those responses I have detailed in summary. Councillors, that is the list of questions that we can take at tonight's meeting. Councillor Pepper, could you just grab Councillor Carr? Oh, thanks, Ruben. Better not close the meeting without Councillor Carr resuming. Sorry. Thank you, Councillor Carr. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Council, I'd like to sincerely thank you for all attending tonight's meeting here in Dartmoor. We do try and get out and about. We try and do 3 meetings outside of Portland throughout the council year, so it's always good to have members of the community join us here. I'm going to close the meeting now, the formal meeting, but we're quite happy to stay here and take any questions from you, and we'll just talk individually if you want to speak to any of the councillors or myself. But thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you, everybody, and thank you to the CEO and staff. Thank you, everybody.